Hi, this is A New Nigeria with Wale Oluwade. This is your current affairs program where we critically examine those strategic issues that bedevil Nigeria's developmental aspirations and boldly offer simple, practical, but audacious ideas on building the Nigeria of our collective desires. On today's episode of the program, I have a guest with me, a chieftain of one of the major political parties, with whom we shall be reviewing the state of our democracy, party politics, and good governance. And that's a chain. One is meant to follow after the other. There's no better person, in my opinion, than my guest today. So we'll take this short break, and when I return, we'll get right into the conversation. Please stay with us. Welcome back. My guest today is Otunba Segun Showunmi, a chieftain of the People's Democratic Party, even though most Nigerians will want to argue whether the party is still in existence. But I don't want to trigger you because I know you're very touchy on that. Anyway, good afternoon, Mr. Otunba.
Good afternoon. How are you doing, my brother?
I'm fine. Nice having you on the program. This is your debut.
Yes, of course. I have followed you. I like the structure of the program.
Okay.
I like what you're trying to do, and I think we can give it a little bit more push.
Very important. Very important. So nice to have you. Without wasting time, in your opinion, Otunba, without being sentimental or
I'm never sentimental.
Biased, I think so. How do you assess our democratic journey in the past 25 years, this Fourth Republic? What's your opinion? Have we made progress?
I think that to the extent that we have sustained it for 25 years, something that the previous founding fathers couldn't even achieve, to the extent that we've been able to transfer authority from one political party, the PDP, to the APC, to the extent that everything considered, we can measure what was available in the country before this democracy and what we have now put in the country. It's not hururu yet, but I always tell people, any nation that the majority of its citizens are not pragmatic enough to look at what they had before, where they are now, and maybe then where they want to be, will constantly be making its people angry. For there will always be aspirations that are unmet. And sometimes, especially with opposition elements, so-called radical activists, there's always a tendency to say nothing is working, nothing is working, nothing is working all the time. And unfortunately, they don't understand that it psychologically affects the mass of their citizens who are not able to review how many schools did you have before 1999? How many kilometers of road? How many hospitals? What kind of policy has impacted everybody? Where are the limitations? What have you done with corruption? How have you been able to expand the local economy? What about liberalization of the space, even to allow private sector players, not the big ones, the small. So when you put all this thing together, I'll say so far, so could be averagely commendable. In terms of the opportunities and the expectations of the people, based on population and the number of the people that are served, yes, that's where the challenge is.
I'm sure where most Nigerians, including myself, would differ very vehemently with you. Democracy goes beyond transfer of power from one administration to the other.
I know that.
Or even from one party, political party
I
to the
know
other.
that.
In fact, democracy transcends just voting for the sake of voting.
I know that.
There are principles that
Must guide.
that, inform what democracy is all about. So the Economist Intelligence Unit, an arm of the Economist magazine in the United Kingdom, has 4 categories of countries. So you have the full democracy, United Kingdom, Canada, and a few of them, Singapore, a few. Then you have flawed democracy. America is a flawed democracy.
So they say.
Not that so they say, because,
It's always a metric.
America is not so much better than Nigeria.
I know
democracy.
it's a metric, so they say.
Nigeria is in the third category,
Which
they
is?
call it hybrid democracy, meaning authoritarianism with a with some
Facade.
veneer or facade of, democratic culture. Then you have full-blown, the last category, full-blown dictatorship. Nigeria, with due respect, because if you have, like President Masu just said, state capture, which is one big man presiding almost over everything.
Interesting.
Judiciary, legislature. Of course, you may argue with the messenger, but what about the message?
Don't worry, when you ask me the question, I'll
because
answer.
Because of time, let's drill down, because like I said in the intro, we're looking at democracy, party politics, and good, because this is a chain. My brother, Segun.
Yes, sir.
Please, what is the state of party politics in Nigeria?
Okay.
Can you say party politics, you politicians, are you living up to expectation? Because, please, take it from there.
But having said that, the first thing I want to say is that I'm quite disappointed that this Obasanjo Olusegun who is saying this now. The guiltiest of them all in putting in place a culture that has now become so big and now become so worrisome until the heartbringer of that kind of behavior is not even seeing that everything is wrong with it is Obasanjo himself. At the beginning of this republic, I've argued vehemently that the political parties, more than anything else, learned the wrong things from Olusegun Obasanjo and co., where they could not accept the idea that the political party being the mother, coven, giving birth to a government being the child, cannot be weaker than the government it birthed. It was their desire to be stronger, to have the authority over and above the democratic institution that gave birth to them, that led to this, which you are complaining. And the Economic Institute should cut out the crap. I say it with my full chest. Every civilization who is striving to practice democracy cannot be lost because of his own cultural idiosyncrasy and attitude if you are going to measure them on the same prism. Shall we say that all humans have the same behavioral tendencies and that when you capture people within states, especially artificially created ones, which don't have homogeneity of language, homogeneity of culture, homogeneity of religion, what exactly are you expecting? In any case, at the beginning of this democracy, American-style one, it was really and truly a civilian monarchy, but for a term. They did not want the monarchies that they had in Europe, which drove them into America, and they wanted to create a government that was structured. So deliberately, democracy, presidential-style democracy, is designed as a monarchy only for a term. If it is 4 years, then it's a monarchy for 4 years. If it is 8 years, like that. And then they created organs like the Senate, the reps, and all of that to give it some facade of independence and checks. But the question then is that even at the design stage, is it realistic that each of those organs can be truly independent when it is the primus inter pares authority, the executive, who must dispense favor, organize and all of the security? So really, they are measuring the Africans on a very hypocritical level because you know why? They met us with a more democratic system of government in all our kingships. So we can't go back to the past. I would just say the major problem of this democracy now and what is making people a bit uncomfortable is that at the beginning of this republic, you could almost say that the PDP, the party I've always been, is pan-Nigeria because they had structures all over the place. And it is right of center, which means they are conservative. And the so-called ADAC, who kept morphing and changing their name, originally started out as left of center, which is progressive. It's those people at the left of center that could not retain their own ideological underpinnings and then moved so much until they practically came to join us at the left of center. How do I justify this? Typically, a right of center party, the PDP, will be pro-business, will be pro-private sector, and all of that. A left of center party ordinarily ought to be pro-education, pro-health. But what have you found? We, the right of center, we were the ones that did universal basic education to guarantee free education for all persons from the age of 6 the first few years, the first 9 years. And the left, the so-called left or center, are now the ones saying that people can only go to school by coming to take a loan. Do you get what I'm trying? So I think that, to put it fine, to rest it, I queried with the APC in 2015 when I had an encounter of this nature with Lai Mohammed, is the good old man. And I asked him, why do you want to create this new party that has now won an election, but you will not have the discipline to grow it organically so that people that are, you know, progressive in nature, I'm a progressive in nature. If you watch me, if you hear me, I'm a progressive, will be able to come there. Why are you bringing all shades of characters to this new party? Brilliant. Which will then mean, let me learn, that the ideological underpinnings of your party will be lost. And look at them today.
I loved where you ended, which is a more or less wishy-washy ideological.
It's a joke. There's no differentiation.
Exactly. I'm glad you finally.
I know that. There's no differentiation. I didn't cause that.
I'm glad you ended there. Let's leave the theorization. Let's come to practicality.
This is, I tell you, are not theories. They are practical steps.
Let's come to real issues.
Unless you don't want me to speak English.
Let's take this now. Nigerians believe, including myself, political parties in Nigeria are just amorphous organizations of strange conglomerates of strange bedfellows. And I chose that word, strange bedfellows. I could have used a more, terrible word. But this is television. Do you disagree with that, yes or no? Then I'll put my follow-up question.
The use of the word strange bedfellows gets me a little bit unsettled. I would have preferred you said the political parties in Nigeria have become election contesting vehicles.
Beautiful. Now, and the reason why they are like that is because, like you said when you ended your last comment, what are the ideologies that are distinct from one another? Are they really attracting the best persons into the fold? Do they have internal democracies in the parties? No. Now, the biggest question, the elephant in the room is, what has changed materially in the lives of the everyday Nigerian since 1999? Even when we seem to have made progress, substantial progress, 1999 2007, from 2007, it's been downhill ever since, up to today. Now, is it GDP? Is it FX rates? Is it unemployment? Is it mass poverty? Is it hunger? Is it insecurity? Otunba, what has changed? If democracy is to ensure there is party, solid parties that practice democracy and then deliver good governance, where are we today? Otunba?
Okay, thank you. Every civilization and every society must understand that there is no us versus them. There is no government different from the people. There is no democrat, the politician different from the artisan. No. The entire society is the same. People can go into clusters, which you can call political party, civil society, academic institution. That's okay. But what you are going to find is that whatever you consider to be the challenge you see with them is a reflection of the microcosm of the society. Now, for political parties, I have been a crusader, and I have doubled it up even more now by saying, after 25 years, any organization, be it a business or whatever, you have a right to sit back, look at the trajectory and the tangent you've run on before, recognize where the challenges are, review your entire ground norm and your playbook, and make it much more in tune with the new reality. If you say they've not made any progress in terms of the economy and all of that, and that maybe Nigerian citizens have not been served, that's not really totally correct. At the beginning of this democracy, a great number of your middle-level civil servants didn't have a car. A great level of the people...
No, sorry to interrupt you. I told you, 1999 to 2007.
No, I'm going to get to
then
there.
It went downhill from there.
With due respect, I'm going to come to why it went downhill.
Okay.
The global economy, you didn't allow me to tell you, are trailing off me on my top. But let me just leave it and just go to where you want me to go. The global economy is like a sinusoidal. The entire world. The economy goes up and down and up and down. For an African country our greatest undoing, our greatest challenge is the fact that those things they are calling economic metrics, none of them are within our control. To make it easy for you, and I'm not defending politicians, have I ever gotten any office? No. So you can't even be blaming me for what they do. But our greatest undoing is that imagine a world where there is nothing that the Africans have to bring to the table that does not have a ceiling of a world market price. And imagine a world where there's nothing the African wants to buy from them that the African is not buying at the price they call it. Imagine a world where there is a price they even want you to sell things and buy things. Imagine a world where international trade, WTO, because it's there now, I expect her to liberalize it for the African and give us better access. Imagine a world where they give very stringent reasons why even our own food stuff and all that must meet a certain criteria, but they don't give us any criteria why their own cars and all the things. The point I'm making is that it's skewed against us. Imagine a world where the currency of one country is the global currency. What does that even mean? At the heart of fiscal policies and monetary control, everybody is just managing its printed paper. And if one country's currency is the dollar, that is the international currency, so to speak, and some unthinking leaders, especially the present administration, agrees to a devaluation, even more than the devaluation that has been going on, in such a matter that you're asking yourself, what has fundamentally changed, apart from stories? Why will any society allow that? How then do you want to compete? Now, if you can't rack up significant investment in education, if you cannot understand that a world that is now going at this pace needs your governors, even more than your president, to get real with themselves and with their responsibilities at home, how are you going to make it? So ultimately, any democracy that is not doing well, you have to take the blame away from even the ones who are calling themselves politicians and blame men like you and the thousands of you academicians and all of them who think one set of people are supposed to be the politician so that they can sit down in their fancy offices and on their fancy television program, do nothing, get not their hands dirty, not participate, not support, not help, and then the society will now move because lower level charactered people are the one running government. Anybody that does it like that will have to accept what is available.
I'm sure Nigerians would be surprised, just like I am, that you're suddenly giving you politicians a pass. You're giving politicians a pass. The challenge we have in Nigeria, in fact, Africa, generally, is that the essence of government is that a society handpicks a few, presumably the best or the most skilled, especially patriotism, and say, go represent us, and then provide education, provide sanitation, provide housing, provide security, provide law and order.
That, yes.
Do all of that.
Yes.
Ensure there is freedom of free trade and all of that.
Yes.
Judiciary, justice, and all of that.
Everything we know. What's the question?
Now, so what's the question? Nigerians have governments that we have put in office, and we expect them to deliver on this.
Okay. And they are not right.
And they are not doing it. No, hold on. So the question is, we don't need angels. We don't need superhuman. Just do the basic. And politicians have failed on this.
My brother.
Let me bring it home to PDP that you belong now.
Instead of the APC as in government.
No. Because we're wrapping up. We're running out of time.
I would have wanted to talk on that.
Just two quick questions. So the question is, PDP that's meant to be providing very serious opposition to the APC.
What does serious opposition mean?
Coherent opposition.
What does coherent opposition
Unified
mean?
opposition.
What does unified opposition mean?
Now, rather the party has been in disarray even before last general elections.
Okay, can I run into
So
this?
the question is, what is going on with the PDP?
Okay, thank you. You have to ask yourself, does the amalgamation or coming together of people from their different backgrounds and houses in a political party that is run by rule, does it translate into a fiefdom where you are running a gang of zombies, where it's even worse than a military barracks, where one person will back another and everybody will agree? That's not democracy. For it to be democracy or even resemble democracy, it will necessarily have to include that people can have space to ventilate. So do not join the gang of people who see a democratic institution struggling to work with democracy, to remain democratic, to accommodate the idiosyncrasies of other people's rights and privileges and even maybe some of their excess. You say that is a problem.
Was that why,
and
sorry
then,
to interrupt you, was that why 5 of your governors in 2023 worked against your party at the presidential?
God will bless you for this, because this is the first time I'm going to set this record
Please
straight.
set it straight.
It was what they call the Delta Accord, Asaba Accord, where leaders of the Southern Belt or politicians cross-party ran into Delta underneath the then government of Okowa and said they were saying that every party should zone their presidency to the South. And I jumped in the next day on your station, on Arise and all of them, saying, no, you cannot force your own zoning process on us, because we have gone south, north, south. You are just going north for the first time. When we were going south, north, south, you stood in the north perpetually. Now, if you now say because you have gone north with Buhari, you want to force us to go north with you, what about those of us who have never gone south or never gone north? We had been going more south with Jonathan and Obasanjo. Unfortunately, even the man that got blamed and gets blamed for everything, Wike, wasn't even part of that meeting. Fast forward, he started to say, okay, let us figure out how we're going to put the South together. Before you knew what was happening, the man who even had the meeting in his bedroom, Okowa, jumped out of the fray, and Wike and Co will now be the victim. Okay, all of the explanations they gave, let us agree, let us... Are you saying that you expect me and you as brothers to struggle for something? For argument purposes, you get it. And you treat me shabbily. I must be a damn slave if you think I don't have a right to protest. And if I then protest, and the members of the fourth realm of the state, men like you, who are gatekeepers of what really happened, will not make it seem as if it's the party's problem. What could the party have done? Prevent them from exercising their fundamental given human right of choice?
But what we see, the public, is indiscipline.
Wash your glasses well.
What we see is indiscipline.
You will see better.
What we see is a collapse of party hierarchy.
Party supremacy.
Party supremacy. God bless you for the proper phrase. Party supremacy.
I know. I don't agree
Everybody
with it.
in a political party, because when you join the army, you sign into the code.
When
you join medical practice, you sign.
A political party, unfortunately, is not an army.
Otunba, when you join auditing or accounting profession,
wherever you join, yes.
Whatever profession you join, you abide by their code of conduct. And the operating principles.
Maybe we should now even come up with a code of conduct.
Otunba, so what we see as the public is a collapse of party supremacy in PDP, and it is persistent. Now, the next question, Otunba, your governors met and some other leaders met in Jos a couple of days ago.
Yes.
And they have mandated the National Working Committee to ensure by February that the NEC meets, so that you can resolve this. You can resolve this impasse that has lasted for 2-3 years.
One second. Please note, and I'm saying this with every sense of responsibility.
Yes.
You all in the media cannot be screaming, shouting, ventilating about...
Because Nigeria suffers for lack of opposition.
Hold on, about a political party.
Nigeria suffers for lack of opposition. Otunba, Nigeria suffers for lack of effective opposition. No, I need to put that in so that you understand.
Hold on, you don't even know what I'm saying.
Okay,
let me finish my thought.
Go ahead.
You cannot be ventilating and complaining so heavily about a political party. You even see them doing NEC, struggling, and when you have a ruling party that does not even know when the last time they did an NWC meeting. I want to shield the government because they are not the party and they shouldn't be the party. So this is not about the president.
I need to wrap up so that you can take one question on the government.
Yes, okay, 1 second. A political party does not yield itself to somebody blowing the whistle and everybody rolling over. The issues you talk about and we are talking about, never mind that people who want to further their own interests, personal interests most of the time, have allowed their friends and associates to run to town to demarket the party pretending as if they don't really know what the real issues are. But God forbid that I will be part of such nonsense. My position is simple. That organ that met in Jaws is a legitimate pressure group because it's not even constitutionally recognized anyway. But it is significant enough among the stakeholders that you have called them into a conclave. They have taken a decision. You may not like it. You got to respect that decision. Why? Because it is the similitude of a child who goes to complain that the elders of the society have not called an elders meeting in the court of the king to address his petition or at least listen to what he's saying. Then they suddenly address it, they call the conclave, and then you insist that the only outcome that can satisfy you is an outcome that pleases you. Sometimes in life, outcomes are outcomes, and they don't have to please you.
Brilliant.
But nonetheless, they remain outcomes.
We have limited time. Just two quick questions.
Okay.
You wanted to be chairman of PDP.
I still want to be.
You want to be. Brilliant.
I think I'm their best bet. I'm their best deal.
Now, without any sense of patronizing, I'm not patronizing you.
Yes.
I am miffed. I'm totally offended, personally, that young people are failing. One of my biggest regrets as a Nigerian is to stand on the sidelines in 1999 and allowed the kinds of persons that got onto the train.
Maybe you didn't have the money.
Money was not an issue. Money wasn't such, well, not that it wasn't,
but
it wasn't a big issue.
Let me explain. Loyalty was
okay,
go ahead.
Why would people like you, because I also noticed that you are spearheading a group now, Nigerian opposition movement, I think. So
yeah, the alternative.
Why won't you and a few like-minded young people, relatively, because I know we're not really that young, why can't you take over the PDP? That's the question. Why can't you and provide the necessary, leadership?
You see, over the years in politics, my first approach to all things is there someone we can push there? The reason why I do that is not for lack of ambition. It's just because I'm always afraid of being self-serving. Very afraid of it. At the heart of my conscience, I'm always asking myself, Segun, are you trying to be self-serving here? It is only when I see that it may appear as if I'm even running away from the responsibility, or that the leadership I desire is me, or that the reform I'm looking for are the ones that I know. That's the only time I put myself forward. And every time I put myself forward, I always tell people, I say, listen, gentlemen, I will not be angry with you if you don't give me a difficult job. I have a responsibility to present myself that I can do the job, but you have a liberty to say I should do it or not do it. You have by no means offended me by saying I shouldn't do it. Because if the job is difficult, and I know it is, why should anybody be rushing to say he must do it by force? They are just thieves. They have no desire to reform the party. They have no capability to do same. They are guilty of all of the things they are accusing their friends of. They have not put in place the right accounting process. They've not put in place the right audit process. They've not put in place the right reverse logistic process. They've not put in place
membership drive.
They've not put in place They've not put in place the right ownership structure of the party. They've not put in place the right integrity of membership register.
Funding.
They've not put in place a systematic approach to funding. These are things that needs to be done.
Brilliant. Okay.
And that's why I want to be the chair. And I've always said to them, and I repeat it, I am the best deal they have.
It would gladden my heart if you or anybody like yourself, your age,
strictly me,
can become chairman of a major political party.
Do you know how hard I've been pushing it?
Now, final question.
Yes.
Otunba. I want you to do an assessment, less than 2 minutes, of this present government, especially your brother, my brother, is an Egbaman, Minister for Finance. What's his name now? Wale Edu says, hold on. Wale Edu says they've been able to save $20 billion from the twin reforms that has plunged Nigeria into chaos. That they've saved $20 billion US. And then they just got approval for $2.2 billion.
Okay, let me explain.
So my worry or my concern or my confusion is that if you have saved $20 billion, simple arithmetic, take 5 from the one you saved. Why do you have to go and borrow?
What is your background?
Banking, insurance, and risk management.
Lucky you, my background is actuarial science.
Fantastic.
There is a mob conversation that those who don't understand figures run with. And the media can sometimes be running like them. But since you have the background, I take very strong recognition that you are not seeing that what he is saying is that 20 billion he says they've saved would have been monies they would have gone to borrow just to burn. So it's not like they literally have that money like that. They have just prevented themselves from that hole. Because if they had not floated, according to them, I don't agree with flotation. I'm only talking to them on their policy. I don't want to give you the alternative policy. The next time you invite me, invite me as the convener of the alternative. So what I want to say is that if they say they have saved 20 billion, they do not mean, it can never mean that literally they have 20 billion sitting down somewhere. No. It's just that over the years, what we were doing was borrowing to fund these kinds of activities. And the mere fact that they are not borrowing it now, all it just has done is to aggregate how much debt and how much hole and how much waste could have been done, assuming they continue that. So technically,
you agree with the policies, with the twin subsidy removal of.
Oh Jesus! I just told you clearly that I don't agree.
Final question. Final question.
And that was not a good question because you didn't give me the opportunity to go at them. I'm not trying to.
We don't have time.
Yes, I know, but
final question.
Wale Cardoso doesn't know what he's doing.
No, Wale Edo.
Wale Edo is a second. Is a fourth-rate.
No.
I'm telling you.
Don't be personal. Don't go personal.
The economic tourist is running and the fiscal policy is running. Final
question.
And that the one
MBS,
his friend in
just leave them.
His friend in CBN.
Yes, we'll talk about them some other time. Now, MBS released Q3 results yesterday.
I like that.
GDP rose by this, and then unemployment. First, yes or no? The new methodology of reviewing unemployment figures from 5.3 to 4.3, because that means our unemployment is better than G7 countries, UK, Canada, and all of them. Does it make sense to you?
You know, I like you because both of us can talk about. You know what they say? Statistics can lie. And you know we know how to.
Of course,
you can
fiddle with it.
I like
you can finagle with it.
You know the way we can fiddle with it.
Exactly.
Put in different parameters just to give us outcomes that we like.
Exactly.
Like we're doing a person distribution and we are just here, and suddenly they are phonies. Anybody who is fixated at international metrics for measuring growth is a fool. The only metrics you need to measure development and growth in your country is the bellies of your people, the eyes of your people, and the misery of your people. You can't have a 220 million nation where you are seeing going all over the place, hawking money as a sense of palliative after how many years. You don't have food in your food banks. You have not been able to employ anybody. You can look at your figures in your cash market or your bond market, and people coming to run on the fact that your currency is so cheap, they bring a little dollar and all of that. You can look at that. If your treasury bills are doing better than your real sector, you are jokers. So whatever it is they are saying,
if you're going to rate
whatever it is that they are
saying,
rate
the government's performance 1 to 5, 5 being the highest, give them a score.
I'll put it this way. I will give it to you in one second, but please don't force me to give them a mark. The economic policies that Ashadi is running will work. Did you hear me?
It will work.
I said it on Shewan Kimbaloye's mic, and even from the beginning I was I said it will work. But that the only problem I have with it is that he's in a hurry to make the book blue. You know, he wants to move the book from red to blue at such a pace that he doesn't understand that it is at the expense.
Some of us would disagree that
the
way they are going, it will not work.
Listen, it will work.
But we have to go.
Let me explain to you.
No, we have to go. We're out of time.
The economic policy, those are... Why, if you say it's not working, you can obviously see they are bringing you GDP numbers.
We're out of time.
Is it impacting the people? We need another program for
this. No,
definitely.
I've told you, every month, at least twice.
If you invite me and I'm around and I'm in the mood, I'll come. Why not?
We're going to be on this.
But I enjoyed it, though.
Nice one.
Thank you.
Nice one. Now, that's the end of the interview segment. Remember to follow me on my various social media handles. You can watch the full episode of this particular interview on my YouTube channel, also my TikTok and X handles. Like I always say, change requires action. Positive change requires positive action. My name remains Olawale Oluwade. Thank you for spending your time with me, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.